virtual reality
whole system.
Yeah. Kelly Jackson is currently on it. So if you're watching the video, you can watch Kelly look like an idiot walking around in virtual reality form. And then you can also see what she's seeing.
Correct.
So is this the next generation of virtual reality? What is this?
Yes, so I've talked about it a little before. It's called the HTC Vive. It's a company that generally made phones, right? They made a phenomenal what's called room scale virtual reality. So what that is, you might, have heard of virtual reality before on your phones. Google's trying to do little, like you put your phone in something and you watch it.
Right.
That's a nice step, but this is like the next generation of that where you move around a whole space. So those of you watching the stream, Kelly has about a 9 foot by 9 foot space that she can literally walk anywhere in the space, and the whole VR system tracks her entire body and adjusts with her.
Now, the system you have set up for her is she's on Google Earth.
Yes.
So which is a map of the Earth, or the pictures. It's satellite pictures of the Earth.
Correct.
And so she is flying around in this virtual reality with hand controls all around St. Louis.
Correct. The other week, actually just last week, Google released a version of Google Earth for VR. And what's really impressive is for the whole Earth, they've taken multiple images, satellite images from multiple angles, and they've actually extruded buildings. So like the buildings are in 3D. So you're literally walking down Lindell, let's say, in downtown St. Louis, between all the buildings and able to see it from that perspective. It's absolutely fascinating and interesting.
So I did it on the break, and it's sort of a little confusing, once you sort of get this way to fly left, this way to fly right, fly back, fly down. But I was disorientated, and I almost got a little my equilibrium was off.
Right. Well, there's a couple things. Like in that case, what we were doing is we flipped the camera so that you were like horizontal, like standing next to the planet, not on the planet.
Right.
And the images that your brain was receiving are real enough that your brain was freaking out, thinking you were in free fall. So it definitely takes a little bit of control that you have to learn the controls. But for most virtual reality, what's actually interesting about this, outside of the Google Earth application, which is a little complicated, is that I don't have to teach people controls. It's all about grabbing the arrow in your back pocket, or behind you in your quiver. It's physical, which is really, really interesting. And it's one of those things that I recommend everybody get a chance to go try out. Because I could tell you how cool it is night and day, but until you put it on for the first time,
So
it's crazy.
You've had me play with bows and arrows in a game.
Yeah.
You've had me ride a roller coaster in a sort of cartoonish game.
Yeah.
But this is the first time you've had me like looking at real live HD pictures where you're flying around, it's like you're in an airplane, and you say, oh, there's Forest Park, and you can fly down into the ball fields at Forest Park.
Right. Or be 2 kilometers up looking at the whole city and Forest Park. I think what's amazing about this is the applications for education are outstanding. Even for this, imagine someone studying city planning. Hey, you want to look at an old city in let's say Italy and see how they planned it out. Well, you can pull back and look at it from every angle. Absolutely fascinating.
How much does something like this cost?
Right now it is a little expensive. For all of the virtual reality gear, you need to set up an entire room. It's about $800 for the gear, and then it takes about a $1,200 computer at the moment. Now, all of that's getting cheaper. I imagine within the next year it'll be half price or less.
Right.
But it's a phenomenal experience.
Is it? Could you make it a game like people buy, Madden football?
Yeah.
Could you make this a game?
Absolutely, and there's tons of games for it. In fact, one of the things that I've done recently is I have some engineer friends in Columbia, Missouri, who have this system as well, and we have played multiplayer virtual reality where we load up in a bar, and all of us are in a bar and we can see each other in the bar, and we're able to play billiards. We're able to play, ice hockey. We're able to play, or air hockey. We're play,
So you can play
darts. Yeah, darts. Exactly.
Virtual reality with a buddy who's in another town.
And you know what's crazy about it is physical aspects of the real world get translated to virtual reality. So, for example, height. My friend who's over in Columbia is 6'5", let's say 6'6", and I'm 6 foot or 5'8", and so I look up at this person in virtual reality because his height translates into the game. But it's phenomenal. I'll tell you, playing billiards in VR is just as good as playing billiards in real life. Like, it feels the same. You feel the connect when you hit the ball. It's
a
really
couple
awesome.
years ago, Boeing invited me out to fly a C-130 or something in their test models.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in the cockpit, and I walked out, and I was like, wow, it's so real. But, I mean, that was millions of dollars of equipment and screens and everything else. amazing that was just 5-6 years ago, and this is you're doing the same thing to me here for $2,000.
Probably better visually too. Other than the only thing that would have on is some of the haptics of the whole system moving.
Yeah,
the whole floor moving when you're going around in it. If you click the menu button,
the fact that Kelly's walking around aimlessly like we want to get Jimmy Holder to do it because Jimmy Holder will.
Well, it's one of those things that, again, I think everyone should try. Now, I know it's expensive right off the bat, but I will tell you that I know for a fact the Microsoft store, which, believe it or not, they have Microsoft stores in the mall, has one of these setups that you can just go in and put on. And I think it's one of those things that everyone should at least try once because they kind of can see the future.
It is really, really cool. Larry.
Yeah, and then you you put the pointer on whatever you want, like tours, and then click the trigger button.
It's not working. It's not working. I think it's operator error. Larry, you've blown us away today. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks.
757, Big 550, KTRS.